But let's begin with the latest highlights coming in from Parliament. As we speak, the debate continues in the Lok Sabha over Operation Sindoor. Moments ago, you had AIMIM Chief Asaduddin Owaisi also speaking in Lok Sabha, questioning the government over the India-Pakistan cricket match, saying that if we are going to cancel trade, if we are going to cut off ties with Pakistan, why are we still allowing cricketing sporting ties? Questioning essentially the upcoming Asia Cup in which India and Pakistan are set to square off. Owaisi has said that the Indus water treaty is in abeyance, but how is a cricket match allowed? Here's an excerpt of what Owaisi said in the Lok Sabha.
मैं आपकी तरफ से हुकूमत से चंद सवालात करना चाहूंगा कि वजीर आजम ने कहा कि खून और पानी एक साथ नहीं बह सकते, आतंकवाद और बातचीत एक साथ नहीं हो सकती। तो मेरा सवाल आपके जरिए से वजीर आजम और हुकूमत से यह है, फिर जिन इंसानों को बैसारा की वादी में मारा गया था, क्या आपका ज़मीर इस बात की इजाजत देता है कि आप ट्रेड बंद कर दिए, पाकिस्तान का एयरक्राफ्ट हमारे एयर स्पेस में नहीं आ सकता, उनकी कश्ती हमारे पानी में नहीं आ सकती, ट्रेड खत्म हो चुका है डायरेक्ट इनडायरेक्टेड, आपका ज़मीर जिंदा क्यों नहीं है? किस सूरत से आप पाकिस्तान से क्रिकेट मैच खेलेंगे जब हम पानी नहीं दे रहे हैं? 80% पानी पाकिस्तान का हम रोक रहे हैं, ये कहकर के पानी और खून नहीं बहेगा, आप क्रिकेट मैच खेलेंगे? मैडम, मेरा जमीर तो गवारा नहीं करता कि मैं उस मैच को देखूंगा। क्या इस हुकूमत में इतनी हिम्मत है कि उन 25 मरने वालों को फोन करके कहे कि देखो हमने ऑपरेशन सिंदूर में बदला ले लिया, अब तुम पाकिस्तान का मैच देखो? बड़ी अफसोस की बात है मैडम, अकाउंटेबिलिटी किस पर है? पहलगाम किसने किया? 7.5 लाख हमारी फौज और सेंट्रल पैरामिलिट्री फोर्स है, ये कहां से 4 चूहे घुसकर हमारे भारत के नागरिक को मारे? अकाउंटेबिलिटी किस पर फिक्स होगी? एलजी पर फिक्स होगी तो एलजी को बरतरफ करिए, आईबी पर आती है तो एक्शन लीजिए, पुलिस पर आती है तो एक्शन लीजिए, मगर आप ये समझ रहे हैं कि ऑपरेशन कर दिया और हम खामोश लोग भूल जाएंगे, अकाउंटेबिलिटी फिक्स करना पड़ेगा। मैडम, डिटरेंस आपकी क्या है? आपने सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक किया, आपने बालाकोट किया, फिर ये पहलगाम हुआ, तो आपकी डिटरेंस की पॉलिसी नाकाम साबित हुई, कश्मीर की पॉलिसी नाकाम साबित हुई, 370 हटा दिया आपने एक रियासत को यूटी बना दिया और उसके बावजूद भी दहशतगर्द वहां पर पहुंच गए। तो और अफसोस मुझे इस बात का होता है मैडम कि पाकिस्तान को हम जानते हैं, पाकिस्तान और इजराइल इस पूरी दुनिया में एक फेल्ड स्टेट है, और पाकिस्तान के आर्मी चीफ को, जिससे हमारे स्ट्रेटेजिक रिलेशनशिप है, इसको अपना दोस्त कहते हैं, उस देश का प्रेसिडेंट उस शख्स को बुलाकर खाना खिलाता है अपने साथ जिसके भाषण से हमारे लोग मारे गए थे। तो क्या आपकी खर्जा पॉलिसी कामयाब हुई? आप देख लीजिए। अच्छा, हमारे देश में एक ऐसी तंजीम है जिसका वजूद नफरत की बुनियाद पर और मजहबी अज़वियत को फैलाने के लिए बनाया गया, उनको तकलीफ है सेकुलरिज्म से, सोशलिज्म से, मगर हमारे संविधान के प्रियम्बल में लफ्ज सॉवरेन है। सॉवरेन का मतलब यह है कि हम खुद मुख्तार हैं, हम हाकिम आला हैं, हम अपने मुल्क के मुकद्दर का फैसला करेंगे। एक गोरा व्हाइट हाउस में बैठकर भारत की सीज फायर का ऐलान करेगा, यह आपका नेशनलिज्म है? अफसोस होता है मुझे सर। मैडम, मैं आपसे पूछना चाह रहा हूं कि अगर एक चचा सैम ऐलान कर रहे हैं तो हमारी फौज पर क्या असर पड़ा होगा, हमारे उन पायलटों पर क्या असर पड़ेगा जो नहीं मालूम कितनी ऊपर आसमानों पर भारत की हिफाजत कर रहे हैं? वो नेवी का सिपाही जो समंदर में खड़ा हुआ है, उसको ये नहीं मालूम हो रहा है कि मेरा प्रधानमंत्री ऐलान नहीं किया, एक गोरे ने ऐलान किया। बड़ा ये आपके कैसा होगा ये?
So Asaduddin Owaisi, they're questioning the government, saying how can you go ahead with cricketing ties when you're talking of cutting off trade and cutting off all ties with Pakistan? Valid question. We'll have to see if the government answers as to why the Asia Cup with Pakistan is going on as scheduled, and there is going to be an India-Pakistan clash. We will continue tracking all that comes in from Parliament, because remember, the debate is continuing as we speak in the Lok Sabha. But let's talk about Operation Mahadev. India seems to have avenged the Pahalgam terror attack, because the information that's come in is that mastermind Hashim Musa is dead, gunned down in that joint operation very close to Srinagar. 3 terrorists were eliminated, all Pakistani foreign terrorists, and this is a major security win. Let's get you details of exactly what played out in Operation Mahadev. It's currently ongoing.
एक इंसान है, उसने उसको गोली मार दी।
यहाँ पे
उसने बोला कि ये शायद मुस्लिम नहीं है, उसने उसको गोली मार दी।
Over 3 months after the deadly Pahalgam terror attack, where terrorists had butchered 26 tourists after confirming their religion, India finally avenged the attacks and the Sindoor of the widows. The mastermind behind the assault, Hashim Musa, has been killed near Srinagar. The killing of 3 terrorists along with Musa comes as a major victory for forces. In a major joint anti-terror operation codenamed Operation Mahadev, the Army, Jammu and Kashmir Police and CRPF cornered and eliminated the 3 terrorists in the upper reaches of Harwan, Srinagar, inside the Dachigam forest. Earlier, a terror chatter had confirmed that the top Pahalgam conspirator, Hashim Musa, was indeed present at the spot. India Today was the first channel to break the news at 12:55 p.m.
All right, big news. This is from on the ground in Jammu Kashmir. We're going to Pahalgam. Suspected Pahalgam terrorists have been trapped in J&K.
Musa, the top conspirator behind the Pahalgam attack, and played a vital role in executing the strike. He was also involved in October 2024 Sonmarg tunnel strike, was a feared Lashkar commander with deep ties to terror networks. Earlier, local nomads had tipped off security forces about the presence of 3 Pakistani Lashkar terrorists. The army had been tracking a joint Lashkar-Jaish group for over 2 weeks, listening in to their terror chatter. Forces tracked the communication, ambushed and killed them when they were sleeping.
A sketch of him was released by the J&K police after the Pahalgam attack as one of the key accused, and finally today we've been told that he along with 2 others have been killed in a hideout which they had made, in fact a night camping site deep inside the forest area. Here one can clearly see the army activity, the special forces, para units going in. You also had other army units who were rushing inside now. The area is still under cordon. The search operation is continuing. And we've been told that there could be more in the periphery. And that's why the SOP is that the operation will continue.
This is the news the nation was waiting. I think huge success for the security forces and the J&K police.
However, the search continues for the remaining members of the terror group, believed to be scattered across the dense forest.
जिस दिन से पहलगाम का हमला हुआ 22 अप्रैल से, उस दिन से आज तक हमारे फोर्सेस जो हैं, चाहे पुलिस हो, चाहे पैरामिलिट्री हो, चाहे आर्मी हो, इनके पीछे हम लगे रहें. अगर आज इनमें से एक भी जो है एनकाउंटर में मारा गया तो अच्छी बात है.
Operation Mahadev, clashing with the day Parliament debates India's Operation Sindoor, sends a strong message: terror finds no sanctuary in India. With Mir Farid at encounter spot near Srinagar. Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, let me bring in Kamaljit Sandu for the latest updates on this. Kamaljit, the first question that comes up is about the army confirmation itself. Why is there awaited right now, Kamaljit? Why are our forces waiting off on confirming that this is Musa who's been eliminated? Is it just a matter of formality?
Well, this is a big news which has come in today, but why is it taking so long? Now, many saying, is this just a formality? No, it is not. This is where the experts really come handy, because Jammu Kashmir Police has sent its team. And why is it taking so long? Because this particular encounter happened deep inside Dachigam forest. We've been told this is near the Mahadev Ridge as well as the Zabarwan Ridge. And this is an area where even the terrorists would not have imagined that security forces will undertake such an arduous task, climbing up 7 to 8 hours non-stop. But that's a chance encounter which has taken place, because remember, when the Chinese signal really came on, that's the trademark that was actually found near Baisaran when investigation was done. And that's a communication signal which was put on July 11th. And that is when a team of various security forces was sent in, whether it's Jammu Kashmir Police, CRPF, the Indian Army, who went deep inside jungles. But it was 28 RR as well as 4 RR. What we've been told is that is where the paras got really lucky, because they not only did they spot the terrorists, these terrorists were caught napping after hours of trekking. Remember, they have been moving from one place to the other. This is obviously in a bid to keep themselves safe, and that is how they have survived over 3 months. But the luck really ran out because remember, the signal itself was a dead giveaway.
Correct. So Kamaljit, it's clear as to how these terrorists were caught. But you know, as far as Musa goes, how did he evade agencies for so long? 97 days it's taken for them to find him.
Many would want to know what really goes on. When Baisaran attack happened, there was a trademark signal. That is the mobiles, the satellite signal, a trademark signal which was found. And this is where agencies worked back, because this was happened around 15th of April. On April 22nd, the Baisaran attack happened. Meanwhile, there was every attempt to look at technical signals, and this is one which came on 11th of July. And this is where Dachigam was zeroed in. Thereafter, it was painstaking task, because remember, it's a wide area, wide forest. It was put out of bounds for tourists, because a lot of tourists go there for bird watching per se. Then thereafter, what we know is just 2 days ago, there was another signal which came in. And clearly, security forces meanwhile had actually sent out several of its team. And it was the 4 paras. They had been working very hard. They have a stealth mode, a precision mode. And that is when they spotted the tarpaulin, they found they were armed gunmen who were asleep. There was no second thought that these were not terrorists. So they did identify them and giving no chances. They struck 5 bullets fired in all. And then thereafter, what we saw was neutralization. But this is at a specific height. This is where it's taken time, but we're awaiting that confirmation. But remember,
that's right. So the confirmation awaited. Hopefully in the next 24 hours, by tomorrow, we will have a briefing. The final round of identification right now is underway, as Kamaljit tells us. That is a formality that must be completed before there is any press statement or really any press briefing by our forces on their findings and the recoveries made in Operation Mahadev as well. I'll bring in Sandeep Punithan as well, particularly for the question being asked, if this is indeed Musa, that means we've avenged the Pahalgam terror attack. But Sandeep, for anyone saying, why did it take so long? You know, why did it take 97 days? What would you say to that?
Well, Akshita, the Pahalgam terror attack was no ordinary terror strike. It was planned by Pakistan's deep state, and it has the pattern of previous such high visibility terrorist strikes like 2001 Parliament attack, the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks of 2008, where terrorists were specially chosen for the mission. They were very highly trained. They were motivated. They were tasked with absolute cold-blooded murder of the kind that we saw in Pahalgam, which is segregating civilian hostages, and executing them in cold blood, literally at point-blank range, and then disappearing, going back into the forests and evading search teams that the military and the police put out for them. So this particular team of terrorists seemed to have been infiltrated a couple of years back, and this was the pattern of activity that we've been seeing, where they were operating in the higher reaches of the forests, in jungles, on the ridge lines, far away from the the reach of the security forces. And this particular the movement of this particular team as well, they believe to have moved something like 100 kilometers west of Pahalgam towards Srinagar, into the Dachigam forest, where they were there for a certain amount of time, would suggest that this group was specifically tasked to operate in the jungles far away from the security forces, where they could lie in wait and possibly plan more such terror attacks. Who knows, there is a speculation that they could have been targeting the Amarnath Yatra that is on for the next couple of days as well.
That's worrying, so
a lot of possibilities there, and that the biggest one is that this is a specially trained group of terrorists who'd been instructed to to operate in these conditions and lie low, wait for their next orders.
In such a circumstance, Sandeep, you know, if this is indeed Musa who was killed, just put in context for us, how big a catch is this? Because there are reports also suggesting that he was someone who was a former commando of the Pakistani army.
Well, Akshita, some of the overground workers whom the security forces interrogated after the Pahalgam massacre are believed to have told them that one of the terrorists involved in the massacre, Suleiman Shah, who also uses the alias Hashim Musa, was a former Special Services Group commando. Now, that would be very significant because the Special Services Group in Pakistan is one of the Pakistan Army's deadliest soldiers. They are the equivalent of Indian Army's para special forces. The SSG has been known to train terrorists in the past as well. The 2611 attackers who struck at Mumbai, for instance, were trained by the SSG Navy. Now, this would mark a difference from the previous attacks where Special Services Group personnel, either serving or retired, were actually physically involved in terror attacks, and that would be a very, very major revelation if India were to actually prove that. The NIA would, of course, be on the task right now to establish this slain terrorist antecedents and whether he had anything to do with the Pakistan Army and the SSG, commandos. That would be a very, very big revelation indeed.
You know, so right now what we're hearing from our sources is that final identification that we're talking about, that will be done by the NIA. And post that, tomorrow we're expecting there will be communication that comes in from the forces. This was a joint operation, so there will be a joint briefing with details of Operation Mahadev. That's when we'll get that confirmation whether among those bodies, one of them was Musa, the man who masterminded the Pahalgam terror attacks. But let's take you through exactly how these three terrorists were eliminated. How was their location found by our forces? Well, for the last many months, there's been a high alert in the valley since April 22nd, since the Pahalgam terror attack. And one thing that was known about these terrorists was that they were using Chinese communication devices. With that one piece of information, our forces have been kind of scouting through the valley, trying to get any leads on these terrorists. Now, these Chinese satellite phones, which the terrorists were using, signals were being intercepted by our forces to see if this was active anywhere. And they found immediately that it was active on July 11th, which is a few weeks ago. It was at this location where, in fact, the encounter has happened today, where Operation Mahadev has happened. Right after they got this particular Chinese satellite phone signal, they also got in some intel from nomads who were in the area, who confirmed that there was some suspicious movement of terrorists in this very region. So 1+1, essentially they got enough proof that there seemed to be some movement there that they needed to check out. And right after that, again, that Chinese satellite phone was used by these terrorists. So immediately forces could identify the exact location where they were hiding. So a cordon was laid, the army swooped in, they spotted 3 terrorists. And this wasn't just the army, the CRPF, the Jammu and Kashmir police, all of them are involved in this operation. Now, it was almost a surgical strike of sorts. There was a tarpaulin placed underneath which these 3 terrorists were napping. And so immediately our forces swooped in quietly, very, very quietly, targeted these terrorists, fired at them, so they stood no chance, to ensure that there's no way the terrorists got a chance to move, because they were armed to the teeth. It would have meant maximum casualties also for our forces. Because they were napping in a resting position, with pin drop silence and absolute precision, our forces managed to narrow down their location and then ensure they were neutralized one after another. So 3 terrorists down. Pakistani terrorists confirmed their exact identity. We're hearing from our sources, it's Musa, it's Abu Hamza and Yasir. But that's something that tomorrow we're expecting a detailed statement on. These terrorists behind the Pahalgam attack were tracked for 14 days by our forces. And during that period, there were details that emerged about their link to the Pakistan Army. Not really surprising because of how many times we've seen this entire track record of terrorists being linked to the Pakistan Army. In this particular case, there were intelligence intercepts that our forces had, which clearly pointed to the TRF, the Resistance Front, which is an offshoot of Lashkar, acting on direct instructions from the Pakistani Army.
The plotter of Pahalgam killed along with 2 top terror lieutenants. Hamza alias Harris, Yasir identified as the 2 others slain in the jungle in outskirts of Srinagar. Musa, former para-commando of Pakistan's elite forces, was the key hand in the 2025 Pahalgam terror attack, helping in planning, executing the deadly attack at Baisaran Valley, killing tourists after asserting that they were Hindus.
क्या बोलते भेलपुरी खाने से मेरा पति साइड में था एक इंसान आया उसने उसको गोली मार दी
यहाँ पे
उसने बोला कि शायद मुस्लिम नहीं है उसने उसको गोली मार दी.
Forensic trails, human intel and intercepted terror chatter all point to role of Lashkar proxy TRF acting at the behest of Pakistani army and its jihadi general Hashim Musa. Musa had been trying to shed weight and change his appearance in a bid to hoodwink the forces on his trail. As per intelligence input, 42 terrorist launch pads are active in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir near LOC. 110 to 130 terrorists are suspected to be present in these launch pads. Another 70 to 75 terrorists are active in Kashmir Valley, apart from 60 to 65 in Jammu. 115 of them are Pakistani nationals. Forces have been on an overdrive to eliminate terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir, killing 1 terrorist every 5 days. Of the 75 killed so far this year were foreign terrorists. The numbers show that there has been a huge decline in the number of local terrorists operating in Jammu and Kashmir, forcing Pakistan to fall back on Pakistani nationals to keep Valley's terror plot simmering. With Mir Farid and Ashraf Wani in Srinagar, Bureau Report, India Today.
It's been 97 days since the Pahalgam terror attack, and yet what exactly played out on April 22nd is so fresh in our minds. Right now, it seems like the butchers of Pahalgam have finally been eliminated. The mastermind seems to have been caught, is now dead. And India's message, therefore, on terror is clearer than ever. But let's recap for you the horror of Pahalgam and why there was a need for our forces to hunt down these terrorists.
वहाँ पे हिंदुओं को पूछ-पूछ के मार रहे थे वो, पूछ-पूछ के मार दिया उन्होंने.
On April 22nd, a monstrous terror attack hit the serene Baisaran meadow in Pahalgam. 4 armed men stormed the tourist hotspot and killed 26 civilians in cold blood after checking their religious identity.
मैंने हाथ ऊपर किया तो उनको तो डायरेक्ट सिर में ही गोली मारी. उनका नीचे से पूरा खून और नीचे का भाग पूरा गिर गया था. हम लोग उधर ही हैं, हम लोग हमारे हस्बैंड को उठाने की कोशिश कर रहे थे लेकिन हो नहीं रहा था.
Videos shot by tourists show how the attack unfolded suddenly. Gunshots ringing out even as unsuspecting tourists were engaged in activities. A newlywed woman who was seen sitting beside her husband's lifeless body became the face of this tragedy. Lieutenant Vinay Narwal, aged 26, was gunned down after the terrorists checked his religion, less than a week after he got married.
क्या बोलते भेलपुरी खाने से मेरा पति साइड में था एक इंसान आया उसने उसको गोली मार दी.
यहाँ पे
उसने बोला कि शायद मुस्लिम नहीं है उसने उसको गोली मार दी.
Another survivor, Pallavi, said,
ನಮ್ಮ ಹಸ್ಬೆಂಡಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ದೂರದಿಂದನೇ ಫೈರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು. ಮೋದಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಿ ಅಂತ ಮೋದಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಿ ಹೋಗು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಹೌದು.
Shubham Dwivedi, who got married just weeks earlier on February 12, was vacationing with his wife and her sister. When asked his religion, Shubham said he was Hindu and was shot point blank.
दोनों ने साथ में बोला हिंदू हैं, with a smile, with a proud, and I'm really proud that we said it. हमारा सेंटेंस नहीं खत्म हुआ था, he was shot right there, brutally.
3 months after the attack, special forces on Monday eliminated the alleged mastermind, Hashim Musa, in the dense forest of Harwan near Dachigam in Jammu and Kashmir. The mastermind dead, Pakistan terror network hit in Operation Sindoor. India's message on terror is clear. Those who spill innocent blood won't be spared. Bureau Report, India Today.
And tomorrow we are expecting that there will be a briefing by our forces confirming the big takeaways from Operation Mahadev. And you can trust us here on India Today to get you those updates. As I wrap up this broadcast, do stay with us. Coming up on the other side of a very short break, we'll get you the details of External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar's address in the Lok Sabha.